So when I show up to a wedding, I'm showing up with multiple lenses. It gives me a lot of options. For one, to give me the best quality shot that I can for all instances. Lets me, if try to be non-obtrusive, like to shoot from a further distance away. And it lets me mesh with the photographer. So if they're shooting a wide shot, I can get right next to them, and we're not having to do multiple sequences. So in the most part, when I'm doing video for a wedding, I'm shooting on 3 lenses for the most of the day. My wide lens is a 24 millimeter GMaster Sony, really great lens. Gives me that wide angle, great for like tight areas. Maybe say I'm shooting it in like a church and everything's tight. I don't have a lot of room to move. Or in like a city type of location where you want to get the subject and also get sort of what's going on. So if you're having to shoot from like a close distance and you want like to be able to see what's around, 24 millimeters great. And really like that lens. The other thing is these 3 lenses they pair up really well. So as I go back and forth in video, they have a similar look to them, which I really like. A lens that I spend probably most of the day on is a 85 millimeter 1.8. I want to really focus on, like emotions and reactions. So more face shots. And it allows me to get a little further away. So I don't need to be right up, to get on like someone's face with a 24 millimeter, I need to be pretty close. Where the 85, I can be back a ways. Like for instance, prep, like I can still be back. I don't have to be right up in the bride's face. I can be back, 10, 15 feet and still focus more on the details. And a lot of, shooting like a wide aperture lens, with big glass. I don't know if you can see that, but shooting a wide aperture, it allows me to, sort of blur out a lot of the distractions and focus more on those details. But yeah, great for prep, great for getting emotions. Really like the 85. 70 to 200, like if I was shooting, say, again, like in a Seattle or in sort of in the city, like around here, like Leavenworth, we're walking through town, not the great lens because I want to get more of what's going on, around, and I want to see, like a little bit wider, and also if the photographer's shooting like a 35 millimeter, it's pretty hard to shoot on this. For the ceremony and toast, it's great because I can put on a tripod, be way back. People don't even notice I'm there and still be able to focus on like the upper half of their body. Another time I really like to use this is wide open spaces. So if it's, like a city, it's not good, but if you're in wide open spaces, like sort of like the Columbia River Gorge, you're in a big valley, like Lake Chelan, it compresses that image and it really brings everything together. So shooting like a wide angle at like Lake Chelan, if you're across the lake, you're not going to really be able to see so much of like the hills and stuff, where this will help bring those hills and that background in, and it gives it a lot better image. So there's some, advantages to this. And again, it's all about having, sort of that like repertoire of lenses to be able to shoot the correct lens in the correct location. On the camera right now, I've got a 16 to 35 f4. Doesn't match up so well with video just because that f4 and being a 35 millimeter, it just gives it a little bit different look where you don't have like that shallow depth of field. So I don't use it as much for video. It is great for when you're in tight spots, like a tight spot with family shots where you really need to get like that wide, because I can go all the way to 16 millimeter. I can get really wide. So for that, it's great. I usually carry it with me, but it's really only for if I really need something super wide. Another lens I'll use, this is a 90 millimeter macro. It's mainly just for getting like detail shots, like the ring, or maybe some other just details throughout the day. Don't use it that much, but again, it's having the correct lens. You know, these other lenses aren't gonna be able to get ring shots near as well as this. Allows me to focus in close, gets me those really nice close in detail shots. And then these are just sort of lenses that I have. I don't use too much, 28 to 75. This is just sort of a nice all around lens. You know, maybe if I have a second shooter, I can give to them. Or if I need to run and gun or carry something light, I do have this. It doesn't match up quite as well. It does look good, but it gives me, you know, that sort of range of focal, 28 to 75. I can do quite a bit with it. And then if I need to, I run a couple cameras. If I need to have two cameras with a 70 to 200, if I need to get way back, I do have the ability to. This is a Canon lens, but I've got an adapter that I can adapt to my Sony cameras. And it's just sort of like a backup if I do need to do those. So yeah, that's what I run. You know, again, it's all about those three things, you know, having a quality image, being able to mesh with the photographer and try to be non-obtrusive. And that's why I carry multiple lenses.